my name is Marian Guevara, and a huge hello and a huge thank you to anyone who is just clicking on this video, or if you happen to be a new or returning subscriber, thank you very much. Your viewership is greatly appreciated. Now, if you've been subscribed to this channel for a long time, or maybe just recently, if you just perused through this channel, you may notice that I love books, naturally. However, I think it's only been recently, I think it's only been a year actually, where I've found myself really delving into a certain section within book collecting, and that is special editions. Now, I'm no stranger to beautiful editions. I'm primarily a classics reader, and whether it's coming from Penguin or from Vintage, you're going to get a lot of classic titles re-released in, several different beautiful editions. It's quite common when it comes to classics. However, it's only recently, while I've been delving into the SFF side of BookTube and Bookstagram, where I've become more aware of collectible books, just beyond Folio Society. Ultimately, I think it is a breath of fresh air knowing that it's just not classics that are getting this high quality treatment. There have been sci-fi books, horror books, fantasy books that companies have seen and viewed as worthy of putting in the time, effort, the care into crafting this beautiful physical edition, this work of art. I know for me, when I see a book or a series that I love get a special edition, it just makes me so happy, because this is a story that I love. It has impacted me, it has moved me, and just seeing it get, recognition, seeing it have a lot of people put time and care into creating something beautiful from it, so it has an outside that is just as beautiful maybe as the inside, I know that makes me incredibly happy. So this leads into what the purpose of this video is, and it's basically just a wish list. Tis the season and all, and this is just a list of books that I would love to see more special editions of. Now, the genres of these books vary. I got classics, romance, sci-fi, fantasy, but they all got one thing in common, and it's this. If any company today, tomorrow, announced that they're going to do special editions of these books, my money is automatically in your pocket. That's it. That's just how it is, okay? This is a wish list. Please, please, please. This Christmas, I just want a company to release special editions of any of these books. So let's start off with the first book I have here, and that is Friday's Child by Georgette. Now this is Regency romance. So before there was Bridgerton, we had Georgette. And I've read a couple of Georgette before. I think I read around 10 by now, and Friday's Child has remained undefeated. This is my favorite Georgette book, one of my favorite books, okay? I really like Friday's Child. And reportedly, this was Hayer's favorite as well. In fact, the only bit of fan mail that Georgette ever kept was a letter from a Romanian political prisoner who told her in her letter that the reason why she and her fellow inmates, her fellow prisoners, were kept sane was because they kept on retelling the plot to Friday's Child over and over again. So if that ain't a ringing endorsement, I don't know what is. This is a Regency romance that makes use of the marriage of convenience trope or plot line, which I find I actually really like in Regency romances. I'm not only bringing up Friday's Child because it's a favorite of mine, but because there's already a company out there that has been putting out special collectible editions of Hayer's work, and that is Folio Society. Folio Society has already put out Venetia, Frederica, Arabella, so why not include Friday's Child? I think it would be a great addition to their Hayer collection, and that it would be automatic money from my pocket straight to Folio. So that's just how it is. So yeah, that's my first book, my first book on this wish list. I just want some love for Friday's Child. Now, the next two books on this wish list are from an author that I've discovered this year to be a new favorite. Not just a new favorite Victorian author, but a new favorite author in general. Everything that I've read from him so far, I've enjoyed, and that is Wilkie Collins. And I'm talking about two books in particular, Armadale and then No Name, which I sadly don't have a physical copy of yet. But yes, I love these two, and I feel like they get little to no recognition. You have several editions of The Moonstone and The Woman in White, but what about Armadale and No Name? And it's just a shame because his 4 major works include Woman in White, Moonstone, Armadale, and No Name. Like, you prioritize the first half and then ignore the second half, which is a shame because, in all honesty, the Moonstone happens to be my least favorite out of the big 4 of Collins. It's not bad by any means. It's very interesting. It is a detective mystery type of story, but for me, the drawback was that the characters were kind of just they're not memorable. I can't even tell you right now the names of the characters. However, the characters within Armadale and No Name, I'd say, are very memorable, highly entertaining, multifaceted. It's just a shame that I don't think a lot of people, when they hear Collins, they don't know of either of these 2 books, and I feel that ought to change. And as I mentioned, I feel that special editions can help reinvigorate or introduce readership to a book. And I think these 2 very much need it because people are sleeping on these 2. I'm just saying. I would love to see Lydia Gwilt be illustrated in a special edition. Look, I'll take individual special editions of either of these 2. I'll take an author set. Vintage Classics have done that in the past. They've done one for Jane Austen, Iris Murdoch, Virginia Woolf. I mean, this and No Name don't even have like Penguin English Library editions. That's just, come on. You've done Moonstone, you've done Woman in White. Why not these 2? And what's great about them is that, the strength lies in their character study, seeing these characters kind of grappling with a lot of the Victorian societal issues. And not only that, Collins has them going through a very exciting, melodramatic plot line. So it's highly entertaining and in a way quite informative. And the thing is, if you think that Woman in White and Moonstone are worthy and deserving of, getting this attention and getting these editions, I say that so does No Name and so does Armadale. Now with this next one, you would have seen me talk about this in a previous video where I recommend 4 books you probably never heard of, and that is Mockingbird by Walter Tevis. Now in that video, I go over the summary, explaining why I think you ought to try this book, so I won't go into the plot here. However, I do feel that this does deserve more attention. In fact, The Man Who Fell to Earth, which was written by the same author, has already gotten a special collectible edition treatment by Centipede Press, and I would really love it if Centipede Press did so again and did it with Mockingbird. I do feel that the popularity of The Man Who Fell to Earth has also been bolstered by the fact that it has had a film adaptation back in 1976. It famously starred David Bowie. I believe it was Bowie's first major role in a film. And to be honest, I think it was great casting. Like, physically, he looked very similar to the description of the main character. But anyways, I feel that Mockingbird has kind of just been left on the wayside. Not much people know about it. In fact, if it weren't for the SF Masterworks collection, I doubt I would have ever heard of Mockingbird before, and it's one of my favorite books. It's strange because I consider Mockingbird to be a sister novel to The Man Who Fell to Earth. Like, they're yin and yang. They're very different, but they complement one another. I have admitted in the past that The Man Who Fell to Earth is definitely one of the more bleaker sci-fi novels that I have read, while Mockingbird is one of the most uplifting ones. With The Man Who Fell to Earth, you're dealing with a character who is physically, mentally unable to connect with anyone around him. He's purely isolated and he falls into despair because of it. And then you have Mockingbird, where you have characters actively trying to form connections with one another, find connections with each other. These 2 books seem to occupy the opposite ends of a spectrum of human connection, which is very fascinating. The Man Who Fell to Earth was written in the 60s, and this came out in 1980, so it's just very interesting to see sort of the change in tones. And like I said, I would really love to see Centipede Press sort of put out a matching special edition of this to go with The Man Who Fell to Earth. I think it would be really good. It's one of my favorite books. It's sort of lodged itself into my heart, nestled in there. So just would love to see Mockingbird get some recognition. So yeah, those are all the books here on my special edition wish list. Books that I love, and I really feel that some companies ought to, keep an eye out and really see that these are worthy of some special editions. And yes, obviously, if you thought this was the end, then you clearly don't know me. If you follow me within any length of time, you know how much I love this series. Heck, if you go on my channel page, you can scroll down and see that I have an entire playlist dedicated to this series. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have spotted one of the many pathetic stories I put out where I'm just begging, broken binding on my hands and knees to just make a special edition of this series. Like, just please, I'm on my hands and knees at this point. Now, you're probably saying, Marianne, Subterranean Press has already put out a fine press collectible edition of the Books of Babel, and you'd be right. This is the special edition of Senlin Ascends, okay? It's one of the most beautiful books in my collection. It's probably the most beautiful book in my collection. And in my opinion, it's one of the best books that Subterranean Press has put out. But is it wrong to want more? Is that so wrong? I mean, think about it. Greenbone Saga fans get fed. Red Rising Trilogy fans get fed. Do I get fed? That's just one meal. Okay, you can't just live on one meal. You need more. So I'm just saying, I'm on my hands and knees. Please, 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 at least Broken Binding company, any company, just give me a special edition of the Books of Babel. I do not count Enderita because they're basically just hardcover versions of the Orbit editions, okay? That doesn't count. That does not count. The Books of Babel series is such a great example of a success story. I mean, you have a self-pub fantasy work that found readership, was taken in by traditional publishing, and then found further success after it. It's a fantasy series that is unique, that is not afraid to blend genres, and to follow the beat of its own drum, its own story that may end unconventionally. And if you're not convinced by that, think about this. I really want it. So, joking aside, please? Okay, so yeah, thank you for watching. That's the actual end to this video of all the books I would like special editions of. I hope I made my case, especially for that last one. So, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!